7-month off season, and I just had this intro planned out, put the plate down, everything, and start talking, but just took me 5 or 10 minutes to try to speak English, and I don't know why. I know how to speak English. We're just going to do this the way this whole series is kind of going to be, because I'm editing it, which is pretty bare bones. You haven't seen me on here in a minute, and by a minute I mean actually almost exactly a full year since the last Road to Power Build prep. Our goals then were a 600-pound squat, a 342 bench, and a 755 dead. I missed the squat. Since then, we came back for that 600-pound squat, bumped the bench to 364, and bumped the dead to 806 for the junior national record. Now, as you guys know from the last series, what we're trying to do is work our way up on the 100-kilo deadlift ladder. Of course, the goal is always total, but you know, if there's one thing that I have a shot at becoming number one at on open powerlifting, it's the deadlift. So we are 5 weeks out right now from the American Pro. The goals are a 628 to 633 squat, which I missed in December. So hopefully if things trend, that'll be in the cards now. A 391 to 402 bench, which would be humongous, because then I can't. If I'm benching in the fours, it might not be a good bench, but I don't suck at bench like I do suck right now. On deadlifts, we are looking for that big 400 kilo, which I know makes no sense progression-wise, but at the same time, neither has anything I've managed to do so far. If shooting for the moon has consistently worked, why not shoot for the moon again until it stops? I'm going to continue with these kind of outrageous goals that I've seemed to pull off so far. So the way that I think we're going to do this series, we're going to film Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which are the primary days of the week. Maybe Saturday, depending on the load for bench, but it's bench. It also doesn't really matter. Today is primary bench, the tougher bench. It's doubles, but it's heavy for me. I think we have like a 347 or 350-ish double today. We have some exciting things later in the week on squat and dead, which are obviously going to be much heavier. I'm going to eat the rest of this breakfast, which is some oatmeal, egg whites, and bread and coffee. This stuff is amazing, by the way. Stock protein coffee. Take like a 10-minute walk for digestion, do some mobility, and then I'll meet you guys in there for the first session. Whoa. Hey now. So we're about to start. This is Kev. You guys recognize him from the last series. This is my little brother. I have a treat. My older brother here for a couple days. This is his last day. He has to go home and be a productive member of society because he has a job. Imagine. He just launched this. It's a little cannabis company, Mesobis. If you're in California and smoke the ganj, check it out or I'll find you and make you sample it. We're gonna get going. Leave it over to the voiceover right now. We're gonna warm up and start squatting. All right, guys, so we start warming up with the bar, and I was honestly feeling really stiff before the session, so I get into as deep of a squat as possible with a wide stance, close stance, and work out any of that asymmetry that I feel in the hamstrings and erectors, upper back kind of thing. We start working up plate by plate, and really the goal for the session was to get this segmented squat that we are now doing to feel more natural. And basically all a segmented squat is when you hinge back until the bar's over midline and then try and even out that descent between the knees and the hips. Right after 2 plates is usually when I throw on these sleeves, and it's not really a necessity thing at 3 plates, but it's really just a comfortability and confidence thing. And the problem that we've been having in the squat is having the bar end up a little bit too forward over my toes, which encourages a very fast rate of knee extension, which is not what we're looking for. That's when those hips rise and we dump the entire load onto our lower back. And posterior chain, which is obviously not what we are looking for. We are looking to stay in the quads and really have an even squat and not watch those knees come back. So now we are at the top set 484 here, which honestly felt great. I'm doing a lot of thinking. Like I said, we're not, really trying to make this move as fast as possible. We are just looking to see a really natural squat pattern where I don't have those knees coming back. Now we move into the really tough portion of the workout, which is just back down volume. And even as light as things are at 412, I'm usually used to like 449s and stuff, but my house in Utah that we just moved to a couple weeks ago is up at around 7,000 feet. And anything like 5s to 7s to 8s to 9s literally like kill me. Like I am almost passing out, which absolutely sucks, but it'll be a huge advantage when we drop down to normal elevation for the meet. Now, we are moving into the super light stuff. I don't want to bore you guys too much, so I only threw one set in here. But in my mind, this light stuff is the most important part of the day. It's where I'm going to have the best opportunity to really dial in this new technique that we've only introduced last week. It's very rare that I would introduce something this drastic, tech change-wise, this late or this close to a meet, but I don't think we'd be able to accomplish the goal of a 628 squat the way we were squatting, and based on this session, we are definitely headed in the right direction. I'm going to let myself take it away for bench. Alright, so we just finished the pause single, the 1x5, and then the 3x7. I'm honestly dead, as I usually am after doing all that volume, but now we have the primary portion of the day, which is bench, which I always feel pretty dead for after the volume. I don't know if any of you guys know what this is. It's called carbolin, and it's basically just carb powder derived from starches, really simple carbs, 50 grams of scoop. So I throw 2 of them in here, and that's like a solid 100 G's of 100 grams of simple carbs, which will hopefully bring my energy up like it usually does. Well, I believe it's 342. I'm gonna have to check, but I'm pretty sure it's 342. We're gonna start warming up. And we are back for bench. So I always start with the bar, super wide grip, bunch of normal reps. Then I go into some guillotine press to really put a full stretch on the pecs. And then I warm up the tendons with some close grip JM press, I guess I'd call it, maybe skull crushers. We work up plate by plate here, and I was honestly feeling really good on this session, which was surprising because of this rinky-dink setup that we have with the plates underneath the feet that, you know, bring the bench to literally below comp height, and it's not so grippy. But we get to our last warm-up here where I get a little taste of the elevation where I just held that breath for a little bit too long and literally almost passed out. It still moved really well, but I could tell that I definitely had a decent amount of wind taken out of my sails, so we took like a 3 to 5 minute rest before this top set here, and I honestly think we could have made it move a lot better, but we got it done, and it honestly went better than I thought it would after almost passing out. So now we move into back downs, which my coach calls energy sets. So today the prescribed load was 315, and the goal is to get a 4x4 at this weight at a certain RPE. But if I feel like I exceed that RPE on a certain set, I'll just input the number of sets I got at the given RPE, and it'll give me some back downs at lighter weight. This was the last set. After the second, I really felt like I mean, clearly that is not at 7.5. So we dropped down to 297, which I left out because it's boring and light. We moved on to some boring and light RDLs here. I used to do these super heavy around 500 pounds, but it would really light up my posterior chain, and I would start to notice a significant amount of fatigue on Wednesday for my heavy squat double, which is way more important than my accessory hinge movement on Monday. So we keep it light and just really try to feel good engagement in the hamstrings, which we did there. Here we move on to my favorite tricep accessory called the JM press. If you guys don't know who JM Blakely is, I recommend you do some research. He is important. He is a old West Side guy who is one of the best benchers of all time and created this variation, which is really nice for young guys like me whose tendon strength is not there with their, strength in their muscle, which is what I feel one of the biggest mistakes young guys like me make, is getting so excited to throw a bunch of weight on the bar that they let their muscle strength far exceed their tendon and joint strength. We finished with planks. About 45 minutes, maybe an hour post-session here. I took a shower and prepared my least favorite meal of the day. Cold cut turkey, 2 cups of white rice, hot sauce, the rest of this carbolin and creatine, which I've been slacking on, and I'm starting today to, really get on it. Thoughts on the session? Squats went really well. Today isn't really a day where we're trying to blow squat up. It's really a tech day. That's why we have a pause single at the heaviest it gets is maybe like at a 6 RPE wise. And we played with that, lower head position today. I think there's a happy medium there. Damn, it's windy. Closer. For Wednesday's big double, we'll probably be doing a happy medium between like the head down and the head up. Bench went super well right up until I almost passed out on my last warm-up. I think it would have moved better, without that, but we'll have this combo rack Thursday. We'll be benching 2 comp height on a grippy pad. Right now the bench is literally above comp height. And RDLs are awesome. JM press is what I'm really excited to push. We introduced that today, and it's by far the tricep movement that has the most carryover to my bench. Like, as my JM press goes up, my bench almost follows like linearly, like 1-to-1 ratio, which is awesome. We're going to work up to something aggressive enough to really elicit growth, but not aggressive enough to really mess up the tendons for Wednesday over the next couple weeks. I have a lot of macros to catch up on, so it's really just going to be eating, maybe some mobility for the rest of the day, and gearing up for Wednesday's big squat. So I'll see you guys there.